Welcome back, everyone. We are going back to the basics today with some Meal Planning 101. And Abby is back with Profile to talk a little bit about, well, meal planning. But first, I just want to start with what Profile is, if people are not familiar with the program. We hear about Profile, but sometimes they're like, what exactly is Profile?
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for having me.
Yes.
I appreciate it. So Profile by Sanford is a nutrition and health coaching program. So we really hang our hat on understanding the individual on a one-on-one basis and helping individuals learn about the nutrition, activity, and lifestyle that best suits them.
Okay, and so when we talk about meal planning and meal prepping, I also feel like those are kind of trendy words.
Oh, yeah.
As of right now, but it's really been around for a while. So when we talk about meal planning, what does that mean as well?
Well, I love that you bring that up because it's actually kind of why I wanted to talk about it today, because I feel like we all talk about meal planning and meal prepping, and then it's like, but how do we actually do that? What is the execution step on those things? And that's what Profile does. And whether you're on Profile or if you're on any other health journey, meal planning and preparing for your week and for your day is going to be so important. And I just am so thankful that I work for a company that puts so much value in actually helping members and individuals execute every day on that meal planning and that preparing. So when we talk about meal planning and meal prepping, it can be as simple as what are we going to have for dinner every night, to what are my snacks going to look like. And when I go into companies, part of my job is to go into companies and sit down with the employees and say, okay, how are we going to get healthy together? How are we going to work on this together? And meal planning ends up being one of the greatest topics that people want to talk about, because they are running late and then they run out the door and then they're like, well, I'll just go to the cafeteria. But you end up getting so many calories that are not valuable to your body in those meals throughout the day. And then you just kind of go through these cycles of not feeding your body properly. So one of the education resources that I present to companies is going to be meal planning back to the basics. So I had sent over something earlier this morning. And then also the Harvard plate. So we use Harvard's Healthy Eating Plate as a resource for our members and for our presentations to just really help people understand what it should look like when you're making a plate. And so if you're going to see there that there's a lot of vegetables, and that can be one of the hardest things for people to really dive into, is putting vegetables in that meal plan. One thing I always talk about with people is let's start where you're comfortable, because if I start telling you that you need to eat broccoli every day and you hate broccoli, we can't start there.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yep. So for me, that's my favorite food, which is kind of a weird thing. But really sitting down with yourself, sitting down with your family, whoever's in your life, and writing down the things that you actually do like. And then looking at this plate and saying, how can the foods that I already like work into this plate and into this more of a balanced approach to feeding my body? So that would be my step number one when I talk to individuals, is where do my foods actually fit into this, and where do I need to increase the value of my meal based on this plate? So another thing that I like to talk to people about is trying new vegetables, or trying new foods, or trying new carbohydrates. Maybe you only like white rice. Maybe it's you only like cucumbers. Maybe there's something that you are willing to try, but you're a little bit unsure about it. So take the time maybe on your weekend or your day off, and start playing with those recipes and playing with foods in a different way, whether it's with different seasonings, how it's prepared, whether it's stir fry or it's air fried or it's on the grill. Try different ways to eat your foods, because that brings out different flavors. And so you're going to enjoy the food in a different way. And when you enjoy the food you eat, it is much easier to have that a part of your day.
We talk a lot about picky eaters as kids, but sometimes adults are picky eaters, and sometimes we're just stuck in the rut of, I've never tried that before.
Absolutely. And honestly, as a coach, I've had so many people come to me and say, but I won't eat vegetables, don't ask me to. And like, okay, that's cute, because the second that you start eating vegetables, within a small time frame, your body actually starts to adapt and enjoy them more. And it's just like sugar. The more sugar you eat, the more sugar your body wants. And that's called a crave cycle. And so we actually create new crave cycles for our bodies by introducing healthy foods. Your body starts craving that feeling of health and wellness as you're eating those foods. And so it's just kind of that same idea, but it's a different mindset, because it takes a little bit of work to get there.
Well, I just love the help of planning, whether it's lunch or dinner, supper, whatever you call it, because when someone says, what's for dinner?
Oh yeah. And honestly, this is what I do for a living, and it is hard. I have to be intentional. I have to set time aside to make sure that I am looking ahead on my week and not finding myself going, I guess I'm gonna go to Starbucks and grab another latte because that's all I have time for. When I leave the house in the morning and I have a plan, then I feel like I'm so much more prepared. I can show up for work in a better way. I can show up for my family in a better way when I'm actually feeding my body properly. And I will say again, that execution part is going to be the hardest. And so when you take that time out of your life to prepare for your week, to really fill out what it is that your body needs and start planning and preparing for that, it just really makes a difference for your week.
It makes sense. Great advice as always, Abby with Profile. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you so much.
Stay with us. Your daily dose of motivation is next. Great. That was great visuals. I like that.